Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Big Lad Podcast. Today I'm joined with my first guest and fellow My Protein athlete, Manny. Would you like to give yourself a little introduction of who you are and what you're about?
Yeah, right. Well, my name's Manny, more commonly known as Chief. Chief, yeah. I mean, there's a story behind that, but we'll get into that a little bit.
For about 3 months when I first knew you, I genuinely thought your name was Chief to begin with.
To be honest, a lot of people just call me Chief, even work colleagues. So it sounds nice with my last name, Chief Chikaviro. It just rings.
It does.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, I am that nerd who on their Instagram, I don't like the typical, oh, here's a picture of me in a schmedium top and asking a question about your workout. I like to give a lot of science behind what I do, why I do what I do. So when people come to my page as an influencer, I'm not just influencing you to buy products, but influencing you to become a better version of yourself. So you actually walk away having been on my page with more knowledge than you did when you came on.
To be fair, you do put a lot of effort into your sort of photos and editing in general, which is good to see instead of what you see quite often, which is a load of topless selfies, which we've spoke about recently quite a bit. But yeah, we're going to get started off with some quick fire questions. So I've not told Manny about these beforehand. These are straight up answers. So first one, what was your dream job as a kid?
Funnily enough, my dream job was to be a PE teacher when I was a kid.
It's better than mine. Mine was a bin man, but I wanted to be the bin man lorry driver.
They get paid a lot.
Don't ask me why. I just thought it was cool as a kid. Next one, what thing are you looking forward to most in 2021?
Normality. I'm looking forward to being able to go to the gym and it being able to stay open long enough for me to see progress.
Yeah, that's been an absolute nightmare recently, hasn't it? Because it's been sort of stop-start, not being able to get into the proper swing of things, and it's been just a bit of a ball ache, really. And I don't know about you, but I'm sick of home workouts.
Honestly, this time round, I've not even bothered because we've had conversations about how much my weight fluctuates. Like I spend years building myself up on lean muscle mass. I get to, close to 15 stone. Then a lockdown happens. I go down to like 13, 12, and then I go back up and then I'm back down to like 11.
That's some big fluctuations. Like I can't even remember the last time I was 15 stone.
Yeah, I mean, before the first lockdown, I was at my biggest, my heaviest, my strongest. There was nothing stopping me day in, day out. I was absolutely smashing it. The first lockdown happened, and of course, everyone lost a bit of weight. But because it was such a small lockdown, muscle memory, not like how people know it. It's a bit more complex than that. It's obviously all about the synapses, etc. But I won't go into the science. But basically, it just means like the neural connections that you made when you trained the first time, they're easy to build back up on when it's only been a short period of time, which is why my weight was able to.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, so that's why my weight was able to fluctuate. But this time round, I've just thought, you know what? I'm just going to take a break.
Don't blame you, mate. There's nothing worse than going into a cold garage trying to do a workout. It takes a while to get going. Next one. When you're not working, how do you spend your time? I know you're a bit of a gamer.
I mean,
straight up PlayStation guy.
I'm on a game chair, so a gaming chair, which costs 160. So I mean, enough said, really.
Spending the money there. What is your go-to takeaway?
Indian takeaway.
I'm more of a Chinese guy. I don't know why.
I love a biryani, mate.
The thing is, though, when I have an Indian, I'm like, why do I not have more Indians? But I think I've just been used to having Chinese. What is your favorite muscle group to work out?
See, do you know what? I'm one of those weirdos where it changes for me.
Same. I'm the same. Like I'll find one exercise that I'll just love for like a good few weeks, and then I'll move on to a completely different exercise.
Yeah. So I think I pulled my shoulder. Like this is when I was getting to my heaviest. I pulled my shoulder, and for about 2-3 months, all I could do was train legs, and my legs got really big in that time. But it was so tough because I go to the gym, I could do like 10 kg bicep curls, and like I couldn't do any more.
It's horrible,
so I was like,
isn't it?
Yeah, the only way I could lift heavy is by doing legs. So for ages, I was just obsessed with legs. But then the moment I could train something else, I was obsessed with chest. I was it just moves.
Yeah, it's like when I did my knee a couple of years back, all I could do was upper body. So I was like hobbling around the gym, just smashing upper body. And it was for about 3 months as well. It wasn't like a short period of time. So yeah, once I was able to do legs again, I was just smashing them.
Yeah.
Just missing them. Going on from that, what's your favorite exercise?
I would have to say a deadlift.
Yeah, to be fair, during the lockdowns, that is probably the one exercise that I properly missed doing.
Yeah.
And last quick fire question is favorite MyProtein product.
Do you know what? I'm going to sound a bit soft saying this, right? But the Clear Whey Isolate.
Honestly, it has changed.
You know what?
It's changed the game, hasn't it? It is ridiculous.
Yeah, it does.
It is ridiculous. And I don't think there's a single flavour that I don't like.
You're the one who got me onto them, I remember. Because
as soon as it came out, I was like, that sounds so good just to have a drink that's like literally drinking like Robinson's cordial, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just so light.
You don't get that big bloated feeling in your stomach after like having a normal protein shake. And like I said, like I don't think any of the flavors I've not enjoyed. I'd say probably the worst one for me is the bitter lemon. But even that's still like I'd still drink it.
I think the thing is as well, there's so many flavors. Like I stayed on grape for ages, and then I went to watermelon for ages, and then I went to coconut for ages. Like, and there's still so many.
As soon as like a new one comes out, though, I'm straight on it. Like, like that's going straight in my checkout. I think I've tried every single one of them now as well. But yeah. Anyway, we'll get on with some of the topics of the podcast. So the first one we've got up is Fad Diets, keto, skinny jabs, and just in general celebrities endorsing rubbish products. Because this is quite a big topic at the moment. You've probably seen recently with James Smith and Darren Cartel sort of outing Danielle Lloyd on the keto diet and products. And it's over the last couple of years, it's been quite big on Instagram, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely has.
In general. And finally, it seems that some sort of similar sized accounts are fighting back and sort of outing these people for just trying to sell crap, basically.
Yeah.
And one of the big ones for me is people demonizing carbs. And I think partly that comes from the whole keto craze, because it's all about cutting carbs out, isn't it? And basically getting your energy from protein and fats.
Yeah. I mean, I've got two very strong points on that. So obviously the first one being, I'll tackle keto after, because that requires a little bit more.
We've got some heat coming, I can tell.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first issue is people's relationship with food.
Yeah.
So this whole demonizing of carbs, it really does stem from the fact that carbs are the easiest, energy source in a food for us to consume.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to get a Tesco's meal deal, you're probably getting a wrap, you're getting a sandwich, you're getting a bag of crisps. What's that? That's a lot of carbs.
Yeah.
You know, if you're hungry on the weekend, you're having a takeaway, you're having a McDonald's, you're having pizza, you're having rice. It's all carbs. So a lot of people will now then associate carbs with all these bad foods because that's what they're having the most of.
Yeah.
And it creates this really bad relationship where people think that they need to cut out carbs. But it's long been said, like, somebody can get overweight or out of shape by eating too much of good stuff anyway. It's about calories.
Exactly. It's calories in, calories out, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah,
but
that's
people
it. Yeah,
want
it's
these,
very simple.
People would just want to jump on these sort of crazed diets of whatever's going on at the time. They'll just hop on it, and most of the time what they're losing is water weight, isn't it, in general?
Yeah,
and then they think, oh, this diet works, when long term the results aren't going to stay. It's all about
this is where I'm gonna now
here we go
on keto. So obviously we all know that a ketogenic diet is based on focusing on changing the energy source, right? So carbs, it's very quick, it's one in, one out, right? And you then go and change your energy source predominantly to fats. So you want fats as your energy source. So you all but cut out carbs, which is great, but it's not what the body is naturally meant to do. So the issue with the ketogenic diet, it does work, right? For those people who are like, oh, come on, but there's evidence. Yes, it works. But the problem is you have so little control over a ketogenic diet that it's actually dangerous. Because the issue is, you might say, look, I'm 90 kgs and I want to drop down to 80 kgs. With a systematic approach and a diet, you can tailor yourself to have a balanced diet and get down to that just by working in a calorie deficit. Yeah. But with a ketogenic diet, when you change your energy system, right, your body is not allowing you to store anything, right? It's burning everything that you store. Obviously, it's a long process to get to that. But once you get to that, your body is changed the way it operates. And the issue is, just because you've hit your goal now and you've said, you know what, I'm done with ketogenic diet. I don't want to be on this anymore. Yeah. I want to, maintain this weight and I want to go back to a normal diet. Your body's still in this system where it's flushing out and it's not allowing you to store. So the issue that you run into is you can't just stop on Monday and say, do you know what, I'm now going to eat normal. It's going to take you a long time.
Yeah, you're going to sort of phase yourself out, aren't you?
Yeah, and the issue is you run into very dangerous territory where you now can't put on weight, you can't put on muscle, and exercising is coming at a detriment as well.
Yeah, exactly. And there's people find about a week or two in, don't they, that they get what did they call it? It's like keto sickness or something, the keto flu.
Yeah.
Because of that rundown. Because there's, as you say, there's no energy being stored. Yeah. And don't even get me started on these skinny jabs that we keep seeing.
I mean, the issue here is that people think that you don't need to work hard. If it was possible for everyone we could all do it. Exactly. We'd all look at, like Greek gods and goddesses, but it's not. And the reason why there's so much popularity with these fad diets, these skinny jabs, these skinny teas and coffees where your innards are just being released.
Yeah, that's literally it, isn't it? You end up with diarrhea for 2 weeks.
Easy way, do you know what I mean? You want the easy way, and there is no easy way, unfortunately. It's hard work, right?
Yeah.
And it's common sense.
Exactly.
Remember the game of snakes? On the Nokia.
Yeah. Oh, right? Yeah.
Right. The snake eats more, so what happens? It gets bigger. It's as simple as that. Reverse engineer, eat less, you get smaller. Simple.
I think that one of the issues is I think it should be taught at a school level. Like when you're in, say, maybe primary school, you get taught, a little bit about healthy foods and this, that, and the other. But I think it needs to go further than that to sort of educate people in how to make healthy meals, how to eat healthily on a budget and things like that. I think that's the main issue with all of these products. They basically target sort of vulnerable people because they don't have the sort of prior knowledge to make a sort of educated decision on whether they do this mad keto diet or skinny jab or boom bod or whatever the bloody hell they are now these days.
Yeah.
I think people just need to be educated at that young age so they know about all of this stuff and how to sort of manage their diet.
I think people have also lost touch with research.
Yeah, exactly. Google's free. It's not hard, is it?
It's so easy just to go on Google and type in, this is my height, this is my weight, this is my age, how many calories should I be consuming and how much should I weigh as, a health baseline, and then just operate off of that. But people want to pay someone else to do that for them.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see James Haskell's rant the other night?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So where he was saying about there's a woman at work and she's cut out chocolate bars and she's lost half a stone or whatever, and then she assumes that it's the chocolate bars that have made her overweight.
Yeah, but it's the fact that she's no longer having that chocolate, which accounted for 500 calories, say, and she's now not having 500.
And she's now in a calorie deficit and she's losing weight. And then he talked about a fella who's cut out alcohol for January and all of a sudden he's lost 10 kilos. And now he assumes that is to do with the beer. Well, it's not. Yeah. It's to do with the fact that you've took that out and now you're in a calorie deficit.
This is one of the biggest problems, though, because all of these fad diets and stuff like that, what they do is they misrepresent themselves. What they do is they put you in a calorie deficit, but then they change your diet completely.
Yeah,
so that
they take out the stuff you enjoy.
What you were eating before was bad, and what you're eating now is good. Like, you don't need to spend, £100 a week on shopping. Yeah. I remember I used to do this segment on how much I spent on shopping, and people were shocked. They were like, how is this guy, 14 and a half stone, sub 10 body fat percentage, living off of £20 a week? And it was like,
simple, isn't it?
Oats, a bag of 1 kg of oats, which would last me a whole month, cost me 80p.
Yeah.
Pasta, which is 5 kgs, cost me £1. And then obviously buying my meats and stuff, that is the most expensive part. Yeah. And it's so cheap. Like, when you meal prep, it's so cheap. I think the cheapest meals I was having were it was tuna pasta, sweet corn. I was getting, they were very calorie rich, and it was costing me about 25p per meal. And I was having 6 a day.
Yeah, I used to smash that when it was rowing. A couple of bowls of that after training.
Easy.
Yeah.
Just cook it up in one big batch.
Yeah, big batch.
Put it in the fridge.
Sorted,
done.
Isn't it? But I think people can't be arsed with that in general, and they'd rather just get something and whack it in the oven and it's done in 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah.
But it comes back again, I think, to it needs to be in schools. It needs to be educated from a young age.
But equally, it is about forming those habits, and you can't form those habits without even trying. Like, Arnie said that bodybuilding is not about how much you can lift, but how much you can eat.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's 80% food, isn't it, at the end of the day? 20% in the gym.
And Jay Cutler said eating is the most boring part of his existence. He said, I hate eating, but I know
food they were eating as well.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Ridiculous amounts of foods. But I was listening as well, actually, today to Darren Cartel speak to, Holly from Geordie Shore.
Oh my God, don't even get me started on that.
To be fair, it was a really good podcast. It was on for about 45 minutes. I listened to it early whilst I was working. And you never tend to hear it from their side of things. And they started talking about, obviously she started Geordie Shore at 18. And apparently for the first 3 seasons, they didn't actually get paid. So there's barely any money coming in. They just lived in a house that was paid for and got all the food and drink. And then they got paid on the side for sort of club appearances. Yeah, basically. So her agent had come to her with, one of these Fad Diets, booties or whatever they're called at the time, and say you're going to get paid this amount, just post this, and this. And she said, when I first started posting, I actually didn't know whether they were good or bad for me. And then it was only when sort of people like James Smith and Darren sort of had a go and shouted out about it, that she started sort of questioning it, whether it was good or this, that, and the other. So it's basically, I think, a lot of these celebrities that are posting about these products don't actually know the effects that they have, one, on the body, and most of them don't actually even take them in the first place. They just get the paycheck and sort of carry on. But I think a lot of them don't actually have any knowledge of what they actually do to you.
It's quite interesting that you mentioned that, because if we go back to the whole topic of fad diets, etc., the reason why they're so popular is because people don't have the basic or fundamental knowledge surrounding nutrition and exercise. So a lot of the times people buy into it and people promote it because they don't actually understand that they're either in a calorie deficit, or this new, waist trainer or ab trainer is not what's causing the change, but you having a goal and focused on something is causing you to work harder, and now you're attributing it to whatever gimmick that you've bought into. Because I myself bought into one of those ab trainers. This was when I was doing my first men's physique competition.
Electrode things.
Yeah, and I researched it, and obviously the evidence seems sound and everything like that. If people don't know, it basically just sends shocks to your abs, which emulates the tensing when you're doing a setup, etc. But you can't fool the body. The body knows what's going on because there's a lot of other muscles being engaged. But that's besides the point. But even myself, I bought into that. But at the same time, I was also doing abs every single day, twice a day, and then using this at nighttime.
So you sort of assumed that it was there.
And my thought processing was, my abs haven't ever looked this good. It's not because I'm doing it 2 times a day. It's because I'm using this thing at nighttime before bed.
It's almost like confirmation bias, isn't it? Like, if you think it's that, then you're going to assume.
Well, if you believe something enough, you'll find information to further support it rather than information that goes against it.
Exactly. I've got one last thing on the whole Fad Diets topic, and it is the intermittent fasting phase that everyone went through. It was quite popular sort of last year and the year before.
I'll see you later.
But
Listen, right. Let me just before anybody even dares to comment on this, right? I have dedicated a lot of my time and life and education into nutrition, anatomy, physiology, right? So I've had arguments with friends. I've even had fallouts with friends over this whole intermittent fasting nonsense, right? I won't go into my qualifications. I want to throw that around to say, I have more credibility than this person because of what I've studied. It's besides the point. But I had a friend, right, who, was going on about, the benefits and everything like this. And he was completely negating either a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus. He wasn't even thinking about that. He was just thinking, I'm not going to eat all day and then I'm going to eat at nighttime, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And because, I'm not, everyone knows what it is, you're not eating in the morning and you start training on an empty stomach, you're using up the stored energy from the day before. So essentially you're treating yourself like an engine where all the gunk at the bottom is being used up before you refill yourself, whatever. I've spoken to many GPs and doctors about this, and not one has said anything about the benefits of intermittent fasting. So when I was having this conversation, this was in Ballantine, so very upscale, upmarket gym. And this guy popped in and he said, I'm a doctor and I've been a doctor for 25 years. And he said, I can definitively tell you that intermittent fasting is useless. And obviously we then had a bit more of a conversation about it. But it all comes down to the basics. No, like there is no reason why people try and dress things up and make them complicated. If you want to lose weight, you're in a deficit. If you want to gain weight, you're in a surplus. If you want to maintain weight, you need to figure out what your daily energy requirements are, your extra energy requirements are based on your work, your exercise. Compile those together, and you know exactly what you need to eat to maintain your weight. The exercise is completely separate, right? So when you exercise, you're sculpting yourself. And when you're eating, you're either building yourself up or reducing yourself. Treat it like clay. Food is the clay that you put onto the turning table, and the diet is how the exercise is how you sculpt it and how you shape it. It's as simple as that. Nothing else matters. Yeah, well,
I think, to be fair, the only thing I can say with intermittent fasting is it may help people who struggle getting in a calorie deficit to get in one by essentially skipping one meal in the morning. So if they just ate lunch and dinner, or they just dinner, if they just have like breakfast and dinner, then if they're only having 2 meals instead of say 3, I think that's the only sort of benefit you can actually get from it.
Yeah. I mean, those kind of people,
science and things like that, but
but those kind of people, it makes sense. Like you've chosen a diet that works with, you know, your day to day. Like my friend who done the intermittent fasting, the reason why he done it is because he was up early for work at like 8 o'clock, and then he had work until 6, and he couldn't eat during work. So he would, and then when he finished work, he would then train after 8
till 6 without food.
Yeah, honestly.
Sounds
so
like
then he would train after work, which basically meant that being on an intermittent fast made sense to him, because it then put structure to the lack of structure.
Yeah.
But it's very unhealthy, because there's a lot of things that go on in the body. You're running on empty all day long. That's not healthy. You wouldn't, you know, drive from, you know, Glasgow all the way down to York on an empty tank.
No.
So
got to take snacks for the road.
You know what I mean? Expecting your body to do the same, it's going to fail at some point.
Yeah.
It might not straight away, but it will some point along the journey.
Yeah, you might get through that first day, but I don't think I'd get through the second one. Those big lads are going to eat. Right, we will move on to the second portion of the podcast, which is where we're going to start speaking about steroids, PEDs, and fake nattys. Now, I think, it's more accepted now than it was, but the thing that used to really do my head in was the so-called first sort of wave of fitness influencers, where they go, use my plan and you can look like me in 6 weeks. And everyone jumps on their plan because they think they're going to look like them in 6 weeks, when actual fact they're not. Because at the end of the day, these so-called fitness influencers are taking performance-enhancing drugs, whether it be steroids, testosterone, whatever. And I think to be fair, we are seeing less of that sort of sail through looking like ex-influencer. But now we're starting to see the sort of trend of some fitness influencers sort of coming out and saying what they have been on. So 2 people that I've seen recently are Merijn, who's a Dutch guy. I think he's about our age as well. He's just came out to say that he's now on testosterone replacement therapy. And then you've got Joe Lindner. I think I've said that right. He's a German fella. You've probably seen him, the guy with the sort of alien chest thing. That he's come out recently and started talking about his sort of use.
I didn't know he'd come out. That's quite
he's done quite a few videos actually. They're really good. So check them out on YouTube. I'll actually put them in the bio below if anyone wants to watch them. You are
plug.
Yeah, hopefully he gives me a shout out. But yeah, I think the amount of people out there now that are sort of getting outed by people like other YouTuber accounts doing these natty or not, but then they come out and blatantly say, oh no, I'm natural. When you look at these fellas, not being funny, like they're shredded year round. They've got the biggest delts you've ever seen. And the chest is like a bloody table. You could put 2 pints on either side of the chest.
I mean, I won't get too much into the politics of it, because a lot of people now, they've gone away from this whole, if you want to look like me, here's my diet plan and here's my workout plan, and you're going to look exactly like me. A lot of the time now, it's very specialized. It's because of what I've been able to accomplish, I can help you get further along in your journey, which is a lot better. And it creates a healthy atmosphere in the fitness world. And people being outed, or people actually coming out, is good, because it shows that it kind of takes away this stigmatization that if you're using ergogenic aids, be it, you know, impact whey, creatine, steroids, oral, you know, these SARMs, for instance, all of these, like whatever you're taking, it takes away this stigmatization that you can just take something and instantly you're wham, you've completed gym.
You've still got to put the work in at the end of the day.
Yeah, you still got to put the work in. But I think the problem before was that people weren't saying that the reason why I've been able to hit this level is because I've had an extra edge which you don't have. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's good that a lot of people are coming out, but it's still saddening to see that some of these people who are put on a pedestal and are held up in high esteem are quite obviously not of a natural state. And they're claiming to be. And the reason why is because the human body is not built for that. Long gone are the days of selective breeding. If you don't know what selective breeding is, it's basically if you had a group of big men, right? And say you had women who also could work very well. What they would do is they would breed that man with this hard-working woman with the nice genetics, so that genetic predisposition is passed on to the offspring and so on and so forth until you've weeded out the smaller specimen, right? That doesn't really happen anymore. So you can't tell me that you're 110 kgs, you haven't trained for a year and you're still shredded. There's no way, my guy. Like, your body's not naturally meant to be like that. The fact that you had to train to get to that point clearly shows that that's not your natural state. Well, so
don't get me wrong, a lot of these people have very good genetics to begin with. Like, a lot of them are very, like, they'd be in very good shape without taking.
I need to interject there, because this is another thing. People don't really understand what genetics means. Like, I've had it often where people have been like, yeah, but I know you're big, but it's genetics. Genetically, I'm predisposed to being very slim. Like, very
so was
lean.
I, to be fair. Like, I've put photos of me up on my Instagram, and before I joined the gym, I was like 6'2" and 10 stone too.
But then people will assume the reason why you're now big is because you have this genetic advantage. Genetics only go so far as to give you a baseline, right? So, like, my skeletal structure is my genetics, right? So, you know, from where I'm from Zimbabwe, and Zimbabweans tend to be quite short and tend to be quite small. So I'm taller than the average in my country, right? And the body shape that I am is because of the hard work. The genetic predisposition just means that I struggle to put on fat the same way somebody else might train the same as me, might put on fat a lot easier. But it also means that it's harder for me to gain weight, but easy for me to lose weight. So when I don't train, I become very small, which is obviously why my weight fluctuates so much. But then because I work really hard and I eat loads, then, you know, you can see me go from 11 stone to 14 stone in X amount of time. Of course, you know, there's a lot of other things that go in, you know, the supplementation, the training style, rest, etc. But I've been doing this for years, so I know what I need to do to get to a certain point. But the problem is a lot of people don't. So they just take it on the chin and say, oh, okay, do you know what?
I'm jumping on a cycle.
I'll never be able to be like that unless I take steroids. And it's like, you first need to understand yourself before.
Yeah, definitely. But the thing now is how common they are in just commercial gyms. Like, I'll go into my gym. I'm at a JD gym, which is obviously a commercial gym, and you just have to have a look around the room, and you can spot people that are on gear from a mile away, usually because they don't have any legs. But
no legs, just shoulders like this.
Yeah, literally, they're just like shaped like a Dorito. But yeah, how easy it is to get. Like, I get followed every now and again by these just like steroid Instagram pages, and they're literally shipping them worldwide. I'm like, what on earth is going on? Like, and because obviously, like, young lads now are seeing all these people talk about steroids and stuff like that, they almost think that they need to do that because they did, which I don't think is the way they should be looking at it. The way most of these people that are coming out to say that they've been on steroids is that they're saying, don't do it. Know the sort of the ramifications of what is going to happen when you are on it. Sort of, don't make the same mistakes as they did. But instead, they just think, oh, I'm just going to get on it. And
I think a lot of people try, like, they don't think, like, if you're gonna go on steroids or do anything like that, like, why are you doing it? If you're doing it just to show off to your boyfriends, like, it's not worth it.
A lot of them do it just to be the biggest guy in the room, don't they?
Yeah, it's not worth it. Like, unless you're competing or unless you have a vested interest, you know, like some of these big influencers, they make money out of their body shapes. So it makes sense that they invest in steroids, right? Some people will compete, so it makes sense. Or they've been training for, 5 years and they've hit their physical peak that they can naturally get to, and they want to get to the next level. Then at that point, it makes sense that they would experiment with steroids. But if you're going into the gym in your first, lifting year, and you just want to be big, you want to get big quick, you don't want to, put in the hours, don't waste your time. Just save your money. You know what I mean? Use supplement companies and, like, focus on that first and getting a regime with supplements before you even contemplate something like that.
Well, that's the thing as well. Like, people have the pyramid all wrong, don't they? They put sort of supplements at the bottom, whether it be protein, creatine, even steroids involved with all that. Then they've got sort of your nutrition, your sleep and everything, like work ethic and all sorts of stuff on top, when the basis should be how often you go to the gym, how hard you train, then your sleep, your nutrition, all at the bottom. And then you sort of, as you get higher and higher to the top of the peak, then you start to include your supplements and things like that. But people are just going out there and spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds on things that don't do that much. Like, obviously, protein shakes I have pretty much daily because they're just an easy way to get protein in, especially for someone mine and your size. We require quite a lot, and eating chicken breast every day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an easy source of protein, isn't it? So, you just see, like, young lads going out buying these massive packages worth of vitamins and this, that, and the other, when really what they should be focusing on is what they're actually doing in the gym, what they're eating outside of it, and then the rest and recovery to go with it.
Mm-hmm. The basics are just so important.
Exactly.
But people overlook that because they want to go from 0 to 100. Like that. They don't want the hard work. Like, for my first year, I mean, we've had this conversation, but, like, for my first lifting year, I had no clue what I was doing. I was just going to the gym and I was like, I'm going to do full body every day.
That's what I did, 5 days a week.
I want everything to grow, so I'm going to train everything every day.
Yeah.
And like, I had a basic understanding of nutrition. I was like, I need to eat more if I want to grow more. So for me,
that was it. Just get the food in, get it in.
17-year-old Manny going to college or going to school on the bus with a loaf of bread in the morning, eating all these. Do you know what I mean? That was me in the morning. It's just loaf of bread, and I'd eat a loaf of bread every day. And I gained weight because I was
of course you did. You're eating like 15,000 calories worth of bread.
Yeah, but and then you have to go through that before you can, like, for you to really understand what your body's capable of, what works for you, what doesn't, what you enjoy, what you don't, what you're good at, what you're bad at. And then from there you build on. Like, you don't go in not having that period and then just go straight to, experimenting with, the wrong kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, my first protein shake that I used to have after the gym was, the Nesquik chocolate milkshake.
Oh my God, I did that too.
I used to have that with a banana in.
I used to do that.
I used to just smash it.
Get my protein in.
Full fat milk and everything.
Even when I went to college, right, before, and this is before I started working with My Protein, I used to just have, like, the 50p Tesco's like pint of milk.
Oh yeah,
the little carton. Yeah, I just used to drink that every day. That's what I used to have.
Back in high school, when everyone started sort of drinking in the park and stuff, I'd be there with a full fat pint of milk and a pack of custard creams, like a little nerd.
Ginger nuts for me. Ginger nuts and milk.
Custard creams for me.
Ginger nuts got more protein, my guy. More protein and carbs.
I mean, when you're doing a full pack of custard creams, I don't think it really matters.
Nah, I don't think it does.
It's more sugar than anything.
That's another problem. mentioning that, like these newbies who like go into, say, Holland and Barrett's and like, oh, 2 for 50 on 5 grams of 5 kilograms of protein, and they look at it and they're like, oh my god, 60 grams of protein per serving. And then when you actually get down to it and you look at what's in it, and it's like, 50 grams of carbs, 47 of which are sugars, like you're going to be on the toilet, my guy. Like, you're not putting on any weight.
A lot of, I mean, we're sort of getting away from the whole steroids and fake natties, but the things that really do my head in are mass gainer proteins.
Yeah, pointless.
Like,
your body can't take on that much.
It's not just that though. Like, people look at it and go, "Oh, this is going to get me massive." When if you look at the nutrition between sort of your normal whey isolate and these mass gainers, all the differences is a load of carbs and a load of fat. It's just increased calories in a shake.
And it's a lot of things that your body's not actually going to use.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and that's the issue. The reason why I like the impact whey is it's 26 grams, 1 scoop, 400 mils of liquid, and it's done. I'm not bloated. I can carry on my day as normal.
There's no fat, no carbs in it or anything. It's straight up protein.
Plumbing either. You know what I mean?
But yeah, like it sucks people in as well, because they usually have big tubs of it, and it's like shiny labels and all sorts, and it's like
and there's always some sort of discount and deal on it.
Yeah, it's like 90 quid a tub, but you can get it on discount for 2 for 60 quid. And everyone's like, what a bargain. I'm going to get massive for 120 quid.
I'm going to get swole for 60 quid. Come on, mate.
I'll have a bit of that. Oh, jeez.
But yes, we digress. I mean, going back to the fake natties, the only thing I'll say on that, if somebody screams, "Oh, I'm natural," and they have to remind you every 2 minutes how natural they are,
it's like natural bodybuilder in people's Instagram bio.
Like, bro, give it a rest.
Who are you trying to kid? Like, it's a red flag already.
You're definitely an imposter.
I've not even looked at no photo.
I saw one guy, right? I can't remember the kid's name, and he done like a video on Julian Smith. I think his name was like Third Eye, and he's got like a dot in the middle of his head, like a big spot.
Right.
Anyways, I'll drop a comment of the guy when I find him. But yeah, like, it's an amazing video. He's funny, and he just goes into like loads of different things and like just approaches it in a different angle. But one of the most notable things he said was, and this is like when people sometimes ask me questions surrounding, fake natties and steroid use. This is one question I always tell them or ask them or get them to ask themselves is, if you think that someone is a fake natty, or you think someone is on steroids, the one question you got to ask is, if they're claiming to be natty, is what would they look like if they were on steroids? If you can't picture or even fathom, or there's no example of what they would look like on steroids, chances are they're probably on steroids. Like, if you're one of the biggest guys on Instagram, right, and you're claiming to be natural, and there's guys of your same size with the same training experience on steroids.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like the saying, isn't it? If you hear hooves, think horses, not zebras.
I like that one.
Yeah, I stole that one from James Smith. Actually, I heard it the other day. I was like, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to the fake natty thing and people sort of claiming natural, I've heard rumours that companies like Gymshark have in their contracts that they're not allowed to sort of come out and speak about being unnatural.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And if you look at a lot of the athletes, especially for Gymshark now, they got rid of a lot of their sort of normal, sort of what you call normal body athletes.
Yeah, I mean, when you like, I think when we were all younger, and you saw guys lifting and in their little stringer vests with the nipples, but and you used to think, oh, this guy's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
And then you go to your first convention and you're bigger than him.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and some of them look massive, and then you realize they're 5 -3, and you're like, you know what I mean? You're not really that big.
A lot of it's angles, isn't it? Like, a lot of it is angles. But I worked at the Gymshark event, 2019 it would have been, and obviously all the big Gymshark athletes were there, and I was walking around, I was like, I'm bigger than most of you.
Yeah, it's like
I had a photo with
Mum was calling there.
Oh, I had a photo with Steve Cook as well.
Yeah, but he's not that big.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, he's a big guy.
He's a big guy, but he's not that big. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's not like Ronnie Coleman.
No.
You know,
I think I'm heavier than him. I'm heavier than him, definitely. I'm a bit taller.
His physique, it's not out of the realms of attainability. Do you know what I mean?
No.
If somebody were to ask me, is he natty or fake? I'd say he's likely natty, because
at the moment,
I've seen regular guys, with literally the exact same physique, and at my peak, I would have stunted on him. You know what I mean? There's pictures there, it's like one of my idols, Ulysses. We got a picture together at one point, and my arms looked massive, and I wasn't even at my heaviest at that point. Do you know what I mean? These are guys that look absolutely sculpted. They're not unattainable.
Ulysses is sculpted, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. He's not Ulysses. When I met him, right, and people were comparing our arm size, and it was like, oh, you're not far off. It's probably only 1 or 2 inch. And I was like, yeah, I understand that. But this guy's got muscles on top of the muscle, in between two muscles that are, having a DJ booth with 5 other muscles. That's the difference. Do you know what I mean? These professional athletes, the ones, that I would assume are natty, are ones who have reached a size, they've maintained that size, and then just built upon it because they can't physically get any. Yeah, definitely. Dude, that guy has been lifting for over 30 years.
I know, but it's his age, isn't it? You get to an age where
ticking
it's
questionable
as well.
What he's doing now. But if in 2-3 years of me lifting, I was very close to his physique, and then the next year I was literally the same size. Same body measurements, same bicep, tricep size, same weight, right? But just still not as ripped and shredded. But I've only been lifting for 4 or 5 years, and he's been doing it for 30. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But when you see, again, I'll use Ronnie Coleman, the likes of Ronnie Coleman, there is no amount of lifting that will ever get me that big. There is no amount of food.
No. They're just silly size people.
Yeah.
Walking around with carpets under their arms.
If you can't physically fathom or comprehend how you would even attain that physique, then it's likely you never could, naturally anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully the videos from Merijn and Joe sort of bring other people out to speak about it.
I think it will in time, because there's really this normalization of steroids and ergogenic aids. Everything's kind of coming into one. But the only issue is, like you said earlier, that so many people are turning to it because they're seeing more of it. So they just think, oh, he's doing it, so I might as well.
The thing for me, though, as well, is that, obviously you look up to some of these people for sort of inspiration because they're content creators as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the fact of them coming out to say that they've been on steroids is going to change anyone's opinion. I'm still going to like their content. I'm still going to watch it. It's not going to change my mind. And I think they need to realize that themselves as well, because it's not going to do any damage. If anything, it's probably, in this day and age, going to gain them more respect.
Yeah, it just comes down to the reason why, your fan base or your follower base, as an individual, why are you following this person? If it's purely off the basis of their image and this whole idea that they're completely natural and, you're seeking this whole purity, the chances are a lot of the time you're going to be disappointed, because how somebody reaches their goals shouldn't necessarily determine whether you support them or not. Yeah. Yes, transparency is definitely something that needs to be an integral part of this, because you're not, as an influencer, you're influencing people to do stuff, buy stuff, or try stuff, right? Or train a certain way. So you need to be transparent that you might not get these results if you're not using the exact same kind of methods that I am. That's where it needs to be transparent. And that's where there's an issue with these fake natties, because some people will follow someone wanting to emulate them, and it's just not possible. And then they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. Oh, maybe I haven't, bought his most recent up-to-date program. That's it. Right, let me buy his next program for 250 quid. Oh, I'm not eating the same as him, but I can't be bothered to eat all that. I can't cook. Let me get one of these meal prep companies that charge me 100 quid a week to send me all the meals, because he's got a discount code for that as well. 10%.
I think a lot of people, though, know that these people are natural. I think there's enough information out there for people to make their own judgment now to realize that these people aren't actually natural anyway. So it's, I don't understand why they say they're not doing these things anyway, when I'd say at least 75% of their fan base know.
I mean, just taken away from my going back to my nerdy side, I was watching a video about a guy who was exposing people who were hacking in the game and all these professional streamers. And he looked at their stats, and you could see that something didn't quite add up.
Yeah.
But because they hadn't said it, you couldn't really pull them up on it. Yeah. And you've got to remember, these people who make a lot of money out of what they do, are going to do everything they can to conceal the truth. They're going to do everything to look like what they're doing is genuine, right? And with a lot of money invested in what they do, their whole image is based upon, the money they make is based upon their image. So you telling me that somebody whose money and their income is, and their whole career is based upon their image, is not going to do one little small thing that's going to help them maintain that? Come on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think... Ask anybody, if I said to you right now, all you have to do is just take this one thing and you're going to be a millionaire and you're going to get all of the things that you want in terms of your fitness career, you're likely going to do it. Yeah. And then if the only grievance was, you can't just go around telling people. And I think the other thing is, like we've touched on, sometimes it might not necessarily be that they're trying to conceal it. It might just be that they understand the influence they have now. And if they were to come out and say, I'm taking this, that might cause a large portion of their following to go, do you know what, I'm going to start taking that now.
Like the knock-on effect of them actually admitting the stuff that they've been taking. I think to round this portion up, just for anyone out there that is actually considering taking steroids, one, listen to the last 20 minutes that we've been speaking about, and two, just know the sort of risks that you're taking, know why you want to take them in the first place. Like for me, if you want to take something, then it's entirely up to you. It's your life at the end of the day. No one's there to say, don't do this, don't do that.
The only thing I'm going to say is, if you're wanting to take them, right, and literally the only reason is because you want to be big, don't do it. Yeah. You're an idiot.
I totally agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Just lift. If you're not competing, right, there is no need.
No. There
is literally no need. If you're not competing, if it doesn't impact your what you're doing in terms of your physical performance, if you're powerlifting, if you're doing, physique competitions, allowing that they allow the use of steroids, then by all means.
Yeah, it's the only way you can be on a level playing field, isn't it?
Yeah, have your way,
Like we've said,
if your only reason is because you want to be the biggest one out of your friends,
it's not worth the risks. It's not just that. It's not worth the risks. A lot of people don't, there's things that you've got to look into. You can't just take something and that's it. You've got to keep on top of your blood work. You've got to go through all your post-cycle therapies and all this, that, and the other.
There are a lot of cons as well, but for somebody who has a vested interest, say somebody who's competing, they can manage those cons because they're doing it for a specific event. So once that event has come, they can then work on those cons. You, with no specific end date in sight, are going to struggle to manage those cons because they're going to be constant.
And if you don't do it right, you can literally mess your body up for the rest of your life as well, can't you? All your hormone
and
regulation.
You can die.
Well,
you can die.
There's that. But did you die? So yeah, we're gonna round that part of the podcast, and we are going to the very last part. And I hope you've got this prepared. What is your interesting fact for the podcast?
Well, I have a couple.
Oh,
I have a couple, but this was based off. Do you want this to be around fitness?
It can be absolutely anything. It's just got to be an interesting fact for the listeners.
Right. Okay. So here's my interesting fact. And the reason why I'm going to use this one is because it is one of the most popular and most commonly asked questions when it comes to fitness and gaining weight and getting big. It's creatine. Yeah. My interesting fact is that creatine is already present in the body, right? And when you start training, it actually increases. The more you lift, the more you produce, right? Yep. So for these people who get onto creatine, a lot of people don't understand the whole reason why you want more creatine is to hold more water than your body will allow naturally, and that's where you get big. So if you're wondering, do I need to get on creatine? First of all, actually start training first. Get to a point where you're no longer seeing excessive growth. Then get onto creatine, and you will see. And actually, creatine is quite like steroids in the fact that you have to cycle on and off because your body can't maintain those high levels of phosphocreatine constantly. And that's my fact and information and tip.
So what cycle would you recommend?
2 weeks on, 2 weeks off for creatine.
See, I tend to go, well, to be fair, I don't tend to have it every single day. I tend to have Monday to Friday and then have the weekends off.
That's good. I mean, you can maintain that for a long time. I mean, I've built up my tolerance over the years. So when I'm training, I don't take creatine if I'm not training. But when I'm training, I run it in 6-week cycles. Right. So I will literally go for 6 weeks of loading on creatine. And then I'll have a 2-week break where I don't take creatine.
Do you notice a big difference in your training?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So the first week that I do it, I load up. So obviously your body produces about 3 grams a day. Yep. And when you supplement it, you usually take 5 grams.
About 5 grams,
one little scoop. Yeah, about 5 grams.
And how annoying is it when you get a big bag, like a kilo of it or whatever it is, and they give you a scoop of that big? It does my head in.
But I mean, yeah, so when I load up, I'll take about 15 grams a day for the first week.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. And like, I can tell when I've had creatine because I'll go through a liter of water in the gym easily. I won't be bloated. And I will pump like your joints. Everything feels a lot smoother. Yeah. Like you just have more energy. And then when I don't take it, it has a very negative effect. Because I can tell the difference. I can tell like, oh, do you know what? I'm not as pumped up. I'm not as energized because it just comes down to the amount of water you can hold, and more water means more oxygen. More oxygen means more physical output.
That is a very good fact that you've ended on there.
Yeah. With that,
what was your non-fitness one? Out of curiosity.
Oh, so basically, the reason why people call me Chief is because so in my culture, being Zimbabwean, we have tribes. I mean, it's a thing of the past now. It's not really something that's practiced. I mean, there are still people who do practice it, but like you have different totems. Now, I won't go into totems too much, but mine is a monkey. Keep your jokes to yourself, right? And my cousin's is a lion, right? So his clan have the totem of lion. My clan have the totem of monkey, right? And you can always tell who's a direct relation because of their totem. So if I was to have like 2 kids and then they go and procreate, etc., and then my cousin was to go and have kids and they procreate, and then at some point down the line they meet, if they were to discuss their totems, you'd know if you were related or not. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
All right. Because I could be like,
What happens like when you marry though? Do you keep your original totem?
So no.
say like you, like a lion and a monkey married, would they still be lion and monkey? Or would they be?
Yeah, they'd still be lion and monkey, but then the kids would take the father's totem.
Right, okay. I'm with you.
Yeah. So, yeah. But anyways, so that's just, a tiny bit of background. But as like I was the firstborn,
right.
So I'm a monkey, the monkey totem. And because I'm the eldest, that makes me the chieftain of the tribe. And there you go. Chief Chikaviro.
I like that. That's a good one, to be fair. Right. That is the first episode of the Big Lad Podcast. I hope you have enjoyed. If you're not already, drop a like below and a subscribe. I don't know where they are on the screen. It is somewhere there. I will put all of Manny's links in the bio, so go check them out. Drop them a follow on Instagram. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we will catch you in episode 2.
Peace.